Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bowtie Security Guy After Dark. It is officially our 10th episode, so I'm pretty stoked. With us today is Cassandra Ramirez. Cassandra, tell us a little bit about how you got started in cyber.
I'm so happy to be here and to have the honor of it being your 10th episode. That's awesome. But yeah, it was honestly the pandemic about 4 years ago where I made the decision to pivot my career into cybersecurity. And it was all influenced by my dad, who has had more of the IT security experience that said, you gotta check it out, make that change. And I told him, I don't even know if I'm gonna like computers, let alone cybersecurity. But I knew I needed a change. I definitely needed a change. I had lost my job. I was working with three families as a nanny. So I was exhausted. I was tired. And I went from one exhausted uh field to another exhausted field.
I was like, did you come to cyber thinking it was gonna be less
See?
crazy? I don't know which one is more daunting, honestly. I mean, for me, dealing with other people's children would be my own personal hell. But cyber can be quite exhausting too.
It can be cool.
What was your first gig that you got in cyber?
My very first gig was working as an intern at Disney. I was in cybersecurity for about 6 months at Disneyland in Anaheim. That was a blast, honestly, which is where we met.
I know, actually, that's kind of cool. So, I mean, a lot of people listening, like Disney is a dream gig, right? Like I know that I lived someone's dream working there for almost
Hmm.
20 something years. Um,
That's
like
awesome.
what was the intern process like? Like, I mean, I know personally just from opening internships on my teams previously at Disney that we would get thousands of applicants that we would have to try to find like maybe 10 or 20 that we could talk to.
Wow.
And it was a very daunting task. What do you think kind of helped you stand out, or how did that whole process go?
Uh, Great question. To simplify it, I share this with a lot of people that, generally speaking, want to make a change in a career or they want to go into cybersecurity, is networking. So I um, grew my network, group and spanned who I was to put myself out there. One thing that I did do in entering cybersecurity was do a boot camp. And one of my professors was gracious enough to be my referral for Disney. And he always was just very, very passionate. Shout out Arian. He's been just an incredible individual. So because of him, I wanted to try and aim for an internship into cybersecurity and gain that experience. When I found out that there was a position open in his department, so I reached out, which definitely put my application top at the top. I
Well,
don't
I,
know
I
how many
think,
people,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know how many people actually did apply for that position, but to just the fact that I did beat out for this one role is just such a blessing.
Well, it's interesting, right? It's because I try to explain to people instead of putting out 100 resumes, connect with 100 people.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah,
that I think is gonna give you more opportunities in this current job market than anything else. And even
yeah,
especially if you're new, and especially if you're trying to get into a place like Disney or Google, they're very referral heavy. I,
yeah.
I had to work as a contractor for 9 years and then mentor and meet a bunch of people and finally get into a situation where someone's like, "Oh yeah, we'll give this kid a shot."
That's such a
But
different
before I
time.
was able to do it, it totally is, right? Now it's
Yeah.
very different. Now it's I almost feel like it's become a very big like kind of popularity contest and so in more
Oh,
than it ever has
100%.
been, unfortunately.
Sadly, yeah, I agree. I've come to see more and more that the cases, more so than what you know, it's who you know
Yeah.
and how you can adapt, or just even just who you are as a person if you connect really well with a specific group or department or a team. I've met individuals that really know their stuff and get passed up, and it's just
Yeah.
because of the difficulty of connecting with them, or any certain circumstances that is actually given to someone that may not have the certain expertise in the industry, but they're willing to learn, they're passionate, they're engaging, they have great qualities as in their character, and they have a referral.
Well, and I feel like that soft skills. If you
Yeah,
do not work on soft skills, it's basically game over. Because like you can,
yeah.
back in the day, it was all about how smart you were. Now it's all about, yeah, I want you smart, but I also want to be able to hang out with you. It's like, it's
How
like
are you gonna find that?
yeah, it's like it's always an interesting thing, especially when I interview, because like I don't really ask too many technical questions during interview panels. It's more of just
Hmm.
situationals and just kind of seeing how somebody thinks and how they can kind of grasp a subject they may not be fully understanding of. Because I can teach anyone technical. I can't teach someone to have a personality. I can't teach someone to be a giving person, someone who to work with others and share their knowledge instead of hoarding it. Like I can't teach those habits. So
Right.
it's always kind of interesting to me. So like you've went from Disney, you were at the internship, and what do you do now? You don't necessarily need to name the company. I know a lot of cyber companies are very like, don't talk about us. But like what are you doing now, and what is your current job?
Yeah, I actually got hired to work on a SOC team, which I know that was your first position that you
It
worked
was.
in security.
Yep. Well, it
So,
was kind of like I did a little bit of everything. It was like if some my first role was vulnerability management. But then as soon as I got on the incident response fire team, which was one of my main goals, is to become part of incident response, I basically became a guy who checked all the alerts because I was the new guy. Like, so I've done the SOC gig. That's a rough job. People don't understand how
yeah,
hard that job is.
it is definitely, you are on the front lines. You are
Yeah.
on the front lines. You are receiving all the logs, the activity, and it is how the team responds and catches when events need to be escalated, to analyze and to be on top of your game. So with my team, everyone is just honestly incredibly skilled. It is top tier. Everyone knows their stuff for sure. So I'm excited to grow and expand to pick their brains. But the coolest thing is that everyone is just very welcoming. They are so willing to train. They've been incredibly friendly and kind. I feel so welcomed here. And I just hit my first month. So
Well,
that's been
see,
pretty cool.
I really want you to, are you able to talk about the name or no? Like, I mean, people can
I,
look at your
yeah,
LinkedIn.
I mean, it's on my LinkedIn. It's on my LinkedIn, I'm not gonna give out like the tools that we use per se, but
No, obviously
you know what
not.
I mean?
But
Yeah.
what company are you working with now? Because it sounds amazing. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the best place for a new
100%.
person.
I work at Auto Club Enterprises, which many people know as AAA.
Awesome. No, I mean that's super cool. But what people don't understand, the hardest part about a SOC job is not the job itself. It's the repetitive nature in delivering the same quality on every single alert. Like,
Mm.
how many false positives have you validated
Oh
so
my
far?
gosh. Excuse me, quite a few. I'm not gonna lie. And that was actually something that you mentioned like months ago. I'll never forget this talk that you and I had, Rob, where
Yeah.
you did share, yeah, you used to work in a SOC, in that SOC position where you're receiving logs, and it literally is proving that it's a false positive.
Yep.
There are going to be alerts because you're refining these tools that are analyzing and taking all this information, and what is the standard of that company, based on that level of what is actually, um what would you say, very um high or critical
Yeah.
in um in their alerts. And when you are taking all that information in, there's going to be a lot of false positives. Well, how can you prove that? How can you showcase? Where's
Yep.
the evidence? How can you paint the picture? And that's something that I've been told multiple times. Like, look at the big picture, look at the overall thing. Don't assume, just simply give what you see.
Yep.
And
The
then
the
based off of
the
that, be
goal
very
is to
ethical.
always prove why it's not a hacker because
Hmm.
99.9% of the time it simply won't be. I
Yeah.
think I worked at a SOC for like I don't know. I did SOC work, I should say, for at least several months before I got my first positive, and I was so excited about it. I didn't trust it, right? I was like, I need someone else to validate this. I have validated this same
Oh,
alert about 900 times, and it's always been a false positive. I feel like this one might be real, and I'm a little excited. So it was really fascinating to me. I think that's the hardest part of the gig. But I will tell you, working at a SOC teaches you a whole lot about the fundamentals of security, teaches you
hmm
about the core of security, just like vulnerability management did too for me. I think those are two really good early careers in cyber. So that's awesome. Congrats on doing that. How long
Thank
did
you.
it take you to find a permanent gig in this market? Like it's a ruthless market right now. Like how
I
many interviews did you
love,
go through or
yeah. Oh
what?
gosh. I love this question because maybe it's just not talked about enough, but it's been 4 years since
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
4 years.
It's
And
a
this
fight,
is
right?
100%. And this was something that was mentioned because, I did do a boot camp before I decided to go for my bachelor's. And one of the things that, one of my professors had said, which really stuck to me, is that he said, you can get easily burned out in
Oh
this
God.
field.
Yeah.
Pace yourself. He said, in time, you will break through. You will get into it. It's just a matter of grit. How much grit do you have? How much patience do you have? How much endurance? Are you truly passionate for it and believe in it that you're going to stick it out?
Yeah.
And honestly, that really stuck to me. So in the beginning, of course, it's you're drinking from Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
You're trying to assess the ocean, so
Yeah.
to speak. There's
No,
so many avenues in this field.
it's
So
so overwhelming too, right?
totally.
Like for me, it took a decade for me to get an actual cyber gig. I was always that guy in IT who would bring up cyber issues and be told to shut up. Hey, that's not
Yeah.
your job. That's
Yep.
not your job. And I'm like, but it will be at one point. And one of my
Yeah. To have
favorite
that foresight.
stories
Wow.
is when I was at Disney, I was told many times, it's not your job, it's not your job. And then when I got the job, I was like, guess what? It is my
It
job.
is my
And
job.
now we're gonna go ahead and fix this that I've been telling you about for the last 4 years. I mean, there's been some huge gaps and things that I was able to close at Disney. I'm truly, I think, incredibly lucky because I got to do a
Hmm.
lot of cool stuff and I got to build programs like the anti-phishing program and things that still exist
Yeah.
at a huge company, which is just wild. And for me, I had no degree, I had no certs. I didn't have anything that said I knew how to do this. It came back down to what you said, which was networking. I went and I hassled the security people and said, "Hey man, can I come hang out with you?" And just
Yeah.
be a sponge. Like, can I do
Yeah.
grunt work? Can I do any of these things in my free time? Like, I'm happy to learn. Um, and he came over and said, "Hey, you should apply for this role. I'm leaving the company." And I was like, "I don't know anything about this job." Um, but sure, why not? But I think that is really what it comes down to, is like you said, it's that grit. I'm trying to tell a lot of these kids, a lot of the people I mentor, like, great that you have your degree. I'm sorry that college lied to you. It's going to take you at least a year to 4 years to find a job. And they're
Yeah.
like, no, no, it won't be that way. They said there's a million jobs that are empty. And I was like, no, man, that is an absolute fallacy to sell you on a degree and to get you to go to college, and to pay for it. I said, and here's the other thing that's going to be a bit of a kick in the pants. Your entry level salary is going to probably be around 60 grand. It's not going to be anywhere close to what anyone told you.
Hmm. Yeah,
And it's been a bit of a culture and reality shock. But I think, like, I feel like one of the questions I was asked, in our last episode of this podcast from Walter Spielman. Walter goes, what's one thing that you would want to change or something along those lines? And I said, just the way we handle entry level. Like, it's
definitely.
damn near impossible to find or open a true entry level role. Like, I see them all the time. It's like 3 years experience, 5 years experience. I mean, you had an internship at a Fortune 100 and still couldn't land a gig. So finally, it was just kind of happenstance that you
It
were able, like,
really is.
yeah, like, how did you end up in this role? Did
Genuinely.
somebody see you on LinkedIn, or what happened?
I will definitely divulge in this for sure. So again, with referrals, I was looking on different job platforms, one of them being AAA. I have a good friend of mine, her husband at the time was working at AAA, a referral. So I told him, can I use you as a referral? If there's any jobs that open up. He's like, yeah, absolutely. This was around July when I just started to put AAA on my radar. And come October, I'm scouring online again. And, at this point, this literally like, what, 2 months ago? I was at the time working help desk. Like you said, it was an entry level position. I'm not getting paid much. Loans are knocking, I gotta figure out something. I gotta make this official change. And again, day in and day out, I pull up a Workday for AAA and I found this position where it is a graduate program. So the cool and great thing about AAA is that they're very big on internal growth, helping and training from within. So they had decided to do this graduate program for new grads on specific departments, one of them being cybersecurity.
Nice.
And what the layout gave, I said, I can do this. I can definitely do this. I applied. The job post was only up for 2 days.
Yep.
2 days. They got an overwhelming amount of applications
Yeah.
on this
They
position.
the average entry level role gets 1,700 applications in the first few days.
That's wild. That
Well, you
is
got to
crazy.
realize there's close to 80,000 plus people who graduate every single month. So every single month, there's more and more people who are entering the entry level field. So entry level roles are normally around 1,700. Senior level roles around 3 to 400. I mean, the
Wow.
numbers are staggering, right? I mean, but that's the thing,
Hmm.
you have to close it because you're only one person. Like,
Right.
my job that I opened up for my senior manager role, I got 100 or 50 or so applicants within the first day. And then, I mean, I'm only going to talk to maybe five, maybe eight
Yeah.
tops. So you went, you saw the role pop up, you jumped on it immediately, which is awesome. And then did you reach out to your friend and you're like, hey, who do
I
you know
did.
over there?
I said, hey, I'm applying to this. And he's like, good luck. And it was, I'll never forget, I think it was like October 6th, 10 p.m. I submit my application. The very next day, Monday morning, I get a call from the recruiter. I did a phone screening right then and there. And he's like, let's get you an interview with the
Yep.
hiring manager. So it just went so fast because within the next week I got the job offer.
That's amazing.
And that was when I messaged you and I
I
said,
was so
I got
excited.
the job offer. This is going a little too fast. Is it a scam?
Right, that the old I was so happy that it wasn't. I was like, send me all the information. No, it's totally legit.
It's
Right? And
actually legit.
you don't know how many people I have to tell a month that it's a scam. I mean,
It's so
it's
crazy.
gotten so bad that about 90% plus of what I validate for people are not real. And it's
Oh
heart-wrenching,
no.
right? Because like they get so excited and
Of
then they're like,
course.
I'm trying to hold back my excitement. Rob, can you check this? And I'm like, yeah, it's not legit. I'm so sorry. Did you give them any information? No, I messaged you first. I'm like, thank God.
Thank
But
God.
I've had other people who've been popped for 5, 10 grand. I've had people who've moved to another state only to have the job closed.
No.
Yeah, I had somebody move to another place to find out that the job wasn't real, and they had gotten a house and or rented a house there, and they were basically stuck in the lease. I mean, it's messed up what these people do. Um, and there's multiple levels of this scam. One that I saw recently was kind of fascinating. And I did a video on it. Basically, it was a they were sending you a link that said, "Hey, you're pre-qualified. Click here to do a credit check so we can get you validated and stuff and do a background check before so we can streamline this process."
Gosh, that sounds legitimate.
The site goes to a legitimate site, and then it has you sign up for credit card monitoring, and it costs $1. And then it's like 24 bucks a month after that if you don't cancel. But I was like, how are they making money? And I found a referral link inside the URL. They were getting a kickback for every person who signed up. So if you send that to 1 million people,
Oh no.
and half of them go through the background check, which is just signing up for credit card monitoring or credit monitoring services. That is a seriously big win. And technically, they're not breaking any laws.
They're not.
Like it's like this really weird gray area.
What a
But
loophole.
I can't tell you how many jobs that I investigate. I always tell people who are new to cyber, if someone is offering you a job, it's probably a scam. Like, I mean, it's because
Oh,
no one goes looking for new talent unless you are putting in hundreds of hours posting content on LinkedIn and you become some sort of influencer. Like
right.
they're
Right.
just not going to come to you.
No.
So like that's the worst part. But yeah, that I was so excited for you. I remember I was so excited. I called you from my non-mentee number, which is like my personal line. And I was like, oh
I
my
was
God,
like,
I'm so
who is
excited.
this?
You're like, wrong number, prank caller. And you hang up on me. And I was like, oh wait, I called from my because I have a totally separate phone number for my mentees. I don't give my phone number out to too many mentees. So I have a secondary line, which I also give out to very few. I've met with 300 people and I've given it to like 12 or 13.
Oh
And they're the
wow.
people like you who I know will not quit, who I know will keep fighting, who I know are going to
Absolutely.
put in the time. And that's the difference. It's not a matter of, even when we first talked, I was like, it's not a matter of if, it's just when you'll find a job.
Hmm.
It's just going to take time. And
And the biggest thing that crushes me is that there's a lot of young people like myself that are making this career change, or they're fresh off the boat, from graduation, or
mm,
coming into cyber, and they're very uncertain of themselves. But what I realize is that if you believe in yourself and you at least have that sincerely, you just need one opportunity of someone to see that too.
yeah.
It just takes one opportunity.
I mean, look, all of us suffered from some form of imposter syndrome. I
A
severely
hundred
did.
percent.
For damn near 40 years of my life and 20 years in technology, I believed I was an imposter. I've only lost my imposter syndrome in the last 3 years, and it was so funny because it was my last promotion at Disney, um, where I got the manager of security engineering or security DevOps engineering, and I was freaking out, right? Like I got the job and I'm like, I'm freaking out to my wife and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. I don't even know this job. Like I just studied my ass off before I started interviewing and I was able to wing it and somehow got this offer. And my wife goes, Rob, how many times have you done this in your career? And I was
Yeah.
like, a lot. Like I would argue that I've never known what I was doing for
Mhm.
any job that I've ever applied for. And she goes, "So why are you worried?" And it was that moment where I was like, "I'm good at this." The
Yeah.
best place for me is a place where I know nothing because that is where I'm going to be most excited. Because I have
Yeah.
ADHD and I have hyperfocus ADHD, like I will literally become an expert in 3 months because I have no choice. My brain will get a
Mhm.
constant dopamine hit, and it's like a drug. I
Yeah.
become obsessed. And what your mentor said about kind of getting burned out in this field, burnout's not the problem, in my personal opinion. It's that you go past burnout and you don't even know what normal looks like anymore. That's where I was at Disney, where I was
Mhm.
doing the role of three or four people. And when I
Yeah.
left that job in operations to go into incident response, um, they had to backfill me with three people, and I'm like, what did I do to myself?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I told
Yeah.
myself I would never do that again. And that I think that like he said, that overachiever mentality and that imposter syndrome leads to burnout because you're constantly trying to prove yourself.
It's so
Do you
true.
think it's
Yeah.
Do you think it's harder as a female in technology because you have that chip on your shoulder where you kind of have to constantly defend your intelligence and things to, some of these men who are just kind of mansplaining stuff to you all the time?
I'm glad you brought that up. And I feel very blessed to say I have never personally experienced that. I
Good.
mean, you get those underlying notions where you can't pinpoint it, but you can recognize it. You know it's
Yeah.
there. More dealing in that aspect, and it's it can be frustrating. It definitely can. And I've heard more stories than I've really experienced them myself. But I think the biggest thing is remembering that I earned it. You
Yeah.
earned to be there. You are more than qualified to take up the space that you take. And that was my mentality when I would go to conferences. I remember I did it actually just a few months back where I went to this conference in Anaheim. I had a stack of my business cards. I just had them printed out, and it says, Cassie Ramirez, cybersecurity, and on the back is like a QR code to my LinkedIn. And I'm just thinking, I'm just gonna have to put myself out there. I deserve to be here. I am, more than ready. You have to really own yourself and be
Yeah.
self-assured that if there's any comments or disregard or like you said, mansplaining, especially in IT or tech, as a female, as a Latina female, and you're handling that position with a lot of older men or, middle-aged men that have been in the industry for so long,
Yeah.
you have earned a seat at the table.
Yeah.
You deserve to have a voice and to check oneself to make sure that I know that and not lose myself.
Yeah.
To know who I am is
Always
so
just,
important.
yeah, always just take that moment to remind yourself that as much as it, that the kind of you're good enough type mantra is kind of cliche, it's true, right? Sometimes you got to pep talk yourself because it's very, very easy to get. I always say letting the dark thoughts win, right? Like they're taking
Hmm.
advantage, and you're just like, yeah, you know what? I'm not good enough. Like you start believing that you're not good enough, that things are not, and that you bring that attitude into an interview, it's over because
Yes,
it
I
exudes off of you, your
it
body
totally
language,
does.
your tone, everything. you know, you have that defeatist attitude and it exudes off of you. I think what people need to understand is like whenever you're interviewing, us as interviewers, I'm a hiring manager. Um, I I want you to crush it. Like I am so
Mm.
excited for you to crush it. Like I want you to literally like give me a pair of socks at the end because you've blown them off, right? Like that's what I want and that's what I'm excited for. And when somebody comes in and already is defeated, like I try to help them get out of
Hmm.
it, but it's so hard. And they get so nervous. I saw it at Disney many, many times where people who were really smart couldn't respond intelligently at all, and you get overwhelmed. Like I myself am neurodivergent, so like I know the coping mechanisms and things that I need. Did you find like what type of things did you find were really helpful for interviewing? Like, if you were talking to new people right now, like what type of advice do you give them?
Mm. I I myself I do lean a lot into my faith where there is a sense of like prayer and for some people it is like a meditation, but preparation comes where you reflect back on the job role itself of what the description is, and you want to read up on certain materials that pinpoint what is in the description. You want to look at some, quick YouTube videos and even some common questions that what the
Man,
interviewer may
please.
ask.
Yes, use
And,
ChatGPT.
and ChatGPT was my number one. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
Google is your best friend.
Yeah,
If
it
we
will
say
give
Google,
you it,
YouTube,
what
yeah.
people don't understand is most hiring managers are idiots. And I'm sorry for any hiring manager listening, but they're not we're not trained to interview as managers. The only reason I know how to interview is because I've spent hundreds of hours mentoring and training people and all of that stuff. But they're not trained to interview. So the first thing they do is they go to ChatGPT and they say, "What questions would you ask a senior analyst?"
Oh
And
man,
and
yep,
then those questions end up being your interview questions so you can pre-prep. I'm not saying to get the
100%.
answers. What I'm saying is to learn the answers. Because if you can do
Exactly.
that, then you can learn IT, you can learn
Exactly.
technical. And
Yes. And
no, I think that's great advice, right? And then also research the company, please. Like,
huge. Yes. Know your interviewers. I cannot tell you. I think it happened to me 3 times where I took some time to know who the interviewer was, the hiring
yeah,
manager, and just do a little bit of reconnaissance. Learn on their
cyber stalk the hell out
LinkedIn.
of them. Yes. Man, if somebody goes
Already
into
right
an
there.
interview with me and doesn't have any idea what I represent, like they have done literally nothing. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
it goes
you can,
such a long way.
yeah, you can search my name on Google and it's like Rob Wetstein, persona, bow tie security guy. There's like hundreds of hours of like, I always get so angry when somebody fails an interview with me because I'm like, did you do no research? I've literally
Hmm.
created videos about how to interview, which I use. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
it's always, but it's fascinating to me because I think a lot of people just don't think they have to work for it. They just go,
Mhm.
like I'm just gonna kind of show up and like I'm smart enough, like they'll hire me. And
Like it's almost like they want to avoid the stress of interviewing. So then they're
hey,
gonna
I
wing it,
respect that. Yeah,
but
and they're
then
gonna
there's
try
no
to wing it.
preparation.
Oh yeah, and it's very clear. And when you try to BS people who've been doing this for a decade, it doesn't work.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's a real hard thing, especially with me. Like I'm an executive, but I'm like really technical, which people aren't ready for. So like they'll try to lie to me and I'll go, yeah, what you're saying literally makes no sense. Like that's what you how you just answered that. I'm sure you thought I would fall for it because you sounded so confident, but no, that is wrong. But I
Hmm.
appreciate the confidence. Let's try it again with the truth and honesty this time. Um, because it's infuriating when people lie on their resumes or utilize
Yeah.
ChatGPT to get past everything and have none of the skills, which I've seen now several times where they've gotten past my recruiter and then they get to me And when they get to a truly technical person, I realize within seconds, like this person is full of garbage. Like, and I'm very boisterous when somebody does that because I'm like, you've taken this spot away from somebody who could have actually gotten this
Right,
job.
actually had gotten. And I want to say it was you also that had mentioned it's not about knowing everything, it's knowing how to find the answer.
Oh yeah, and also
And
knowing what you don't know.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
like
okay to say, I'm not sure, but this is how I would find out. This
I
is who
would,
I would ask. I would ask, and then this is my thought
yes,
process. This is my strategy. This is how I would, take on this challenge, this issue, this
yeah,
situation. And you can even, honestly, it really should be a discussion. Share with the interviewer and say, this is how I would think it. Was that
yep,
your intention when you asked this question? Was that what you were looking for? Or was there something else that
yeah.
you meant? What was the question entailing? Have that open discussion with them. They're human too.
100, and like I said, most of us are terrible at interviewing. Like it's really
Hmm.
helpful when people ask questions because we're like, oh, okay, yeah, I clearly said that wrong.
Yeah.
Like I know early on in my career it was very difficult. Like I didn't really know how to interview, so I just kind of winged it. But then I just started creating my own really bizarre questions like zombie apocalypse type stuff. And then the pandemic happened and now those questions became really weird because I'm like, imagine if you wake up and you on the radio you hear about a new strand of a virus that's causing people to get sick and attack other people and I'm like, oh crap. Now it's like in the
Maybe
middle of
maybe not
COVID.
appropriate anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In the middle of COVID. My favorite answer to that question, we only have a few minutes left, but I'll tell you my favorite answer to
Oh,
that
please.
question.
Yes.
Somebody was like, well, if that was the case, I am level 4, level 5, or whatever the highest level hazmat trained, and I work as a reserve person with the CDC, so I would be going into that zone. And I was like,
Wow.
I I don't even know if you're intelligent or if you know any cyber, but I'm gonna hire you anyways because that's the best damn answer ever. And it sometimes could be the difference, right? Just kind of wowing them with a great answer like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we've got a few minutes left. What's the like one piece of advice that you've been given that has resonated with you, for the last, year or so or several years as you've been struggling, tell me in a minute.
Man, I would just simply keep it as fall in love with learning. Fall in love with learning.
Yeah.
If you are stumped, if you are stuck, if you're not sure, ask. If you're not certain, find out, figure it out, have fun with it. Have fun with learning.
Yep.
It's constantly evolving. This is an industry where one answer today is not going to be the same answer tomorrow. So I would say
Yeah. No, that's a
fall
good
in love
one.
with learning.
Well, if you're not obsessed with constant knowledge, this is not the field for you.
This is not.
Like I still every single day I read for, a good hour a day just security news to constantly stay up on the latest threats, the latest vulnerabilities, the latest tools. Like, and it's a constant evolving thing that you never stop learning. If you're somebody who just wants to learn something and be done, this is not a career path for
Wrong
you
field.
for
Wrong
sure.
field.
Wrong field indeed. Well, awesome, Cassie. I love talking to you. I've had such a pleasure being your
Such a
mentor for
pleasure.
many
Oh no.
years, and I'm
Pleasure's
super
mine.
excited that you're my 10th episode. So thank you, everyone, and everyone listening. Please share, subscribe, send it out to everybody, and good luck out there.
Bye guys.